You're watching She's Gone Country, growing up on the Christensen Brothers Rodeo Ranch. Becky and Vicki are sharing the roots of rodeo and connecting the generations with stories behind the stories of our rich Western heritage. Keeping the spirit of the American Cowboy and Cowgirl alive, they are the CB Cowgirls.
Good morning and happy Saturday, and welcome to Cowboy Roper Marketplace here at Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas at the 2017 WNFR. You know, the years go by so quick, I have to think about it for a minute.
They do. They roll by fast.
Yes.
And, you know, Becky, we've been so blessed to be here for, this is our fourth year.
It is
here
our fourth
on stage.
year.
And a lot of exciting things happening.
Yes, and, you know, we want to really quickly, before we get into bringing on our guests for today, say thank you to our sponsors. Of course, our presenting sponsors, Boyd Gaming Shootout, and they host us over at their hotel at the Orleans. Mm-hmm. And the Boyd Gaming Shootout's going on right now. The last day is today. Starts at 2 o'clock. So if you are in Vegas and want something fun to do, go over and see a great rodeo at the Orleans Arena.
Absolutely, and then you'll be free to go to the NFR Perf tonight and do
Yes.
whatever you want to do here in the City of Lights.
Yes, and then of course we have to say thank you to Tres Rios. Tres Rios is a family-owned and operated business started by my dear Aunt Vicki and now run and operated by my cousin Brett and Keeley, and they are over at Cowboy Christmas.
They are over at Cowboy Christmas, booth number 511, so stop in and say hello to Brett and the crew.
Yes, and then of course we have to say thank you to, of course, Keith Mundy and Keith Maddox of American Hats. They supply us with these beautiful hats and all of our crew with hats, and everywhere we go they just make sure we look fashionable and trending in the most beautiful hats that we have. So that is our main sponsors, and we have, of course, I want to say thank you to Cactus Rose for dressing us this week. So thank you so much. We are going to have a great show today. We've had 2 days so far, and I'm going to go ahead and let Aunt Vicki bring up our first guest.
Absolutely. We are just so excited to have this gal on stage with us. She has a brand new program on RFD TV, and you can watch her every Wednesday night at 9 p.m., and that's Eastern Time, and on Sundays as well at 7. This gal is known around the country. You've seen her face many times before. We would like to welcome Debbie Dunning from RFD TV's Dude Ranch Roundup. Debbie, are you ready?
She's coming.
You are here.
You are on.
Welcome.
Welcome to the
Thank you.
show.
I was getting a little info about how to hold my mic.
Oh yes, yeah. I get in trouble with the mic.
He said, "Don't do." Or into?
Yes,
so it's all right here.
Yes, keep
How
it
are you,
attached
ladies?
to it.
Thanks for having me. I'm going to try to sit appropriately for
Absolutely.
you guys.
I love you. I love your poinsettias in your hair. They look beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I just made those before I came out.
Well, welcome to the stage, and we're going to go
you.
ahead and bring up our next guest.
Okay.
And our next guest, she is well known. She's built quite a name and a brand for herself. She was Miss Rodeo Florida 2013. She is a veteran, and she is also a professional barrel racer and entrepreneur, Jenna Smeenk.
Hi, Jenna.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Jenna.
Thank
Welcome.
you. Aren't they beautiful?
Oh, gosh. Well, and, you know, go ahead, Becky. We have to bring up the other, you know.
Yes. Now, we have to balance our
You've met
stage
the beauty part.
Yes, we have to balance the stage out. So now we're going to bring up the men. And the first gentleman I want to bring up, I've gotten to know over the course of the last few years as I handle media for the Columbia River Circuit. And he is actually he came into the finals this year in the 9th position, and he finished second yesterday, well, actually the first round of the WNFR in the bull riding, and that is Mr. Roscoe Jarboe from New Plymouth, Idaho. Roscoe, come on up. We're going to have to talk about his nice pair of boots he's got on.
Hey, we're just so happy that, you know, after, you know, watching the bull riding last night, and we're just so happy that he's here on stage with us because they keep these guys hopping. I mean, really. So welcome and thank you. And, you know, we have another guest, Becky, that hails from up north. Our great neighbor, Canada, Alberta, Canada. And this is Canadian recording artist Corb Lund. Corb, welcome.
How about that? We got some great guests up here. Now, don't be afraid. We're going to just, you know, shoot the breeze and visit and talk a little bit. And for those of you that are watching that maybe have never seen our show, She's Gone Country, the CB Cowgirls is all about the stories behind the stories. We're about empowering heritage and the Western way of life to help keep the heart of the American Cowboy and Cowgirl alive. We love our roots and where we come from, and we appreciate you guys because you are doing just that. You are carrying on our Western heritage. So, Debbie.
Thank you.
Yes, Debbie. So I have a question for Debbie. I was looking at your bio, and I actually saw your show, and I just remember, you know, watching you, of course, on Tool Time, And I thought, what a change from the tool time scene to
Heidi.
now the Western heritage. So tell us what that transition, how that happened.
Well, it's actually, when I was working on home improvement, I actually had a couple horses that I kept in the stables right across from Disney, ABC. And I would come into work and we'd go through the whole home improvement rundown. We'd read the script, and then I'd be back in 4 hours. So I'd go across the street and ride my horse. And, then years later, I had a little girl on the show, she's actually in Vegas with me today. She's 21, celebrating her birthday.
Happy
but
birthday.
I had her on the show, and then I moved to San Diego after the show ended. I mean, I still kept up my career, but I didn't want to be like a weekend mom, so I moved back down to San Diego, and I've got 3 kids. I've been raising them ever since.
Well, you mentioned your daughter Spencer, who just turned 21.
Yep.
What a great time for her to celebrate her birthday with her beautiful mama in the City of Lights.
Yeah,
and then you have
it's
2
been
sons, and you have a 17-year-old and a 9-year-old. Is that correct?
Yes, I do. I had one slip through at the end, didn't I? So I have a 17-year-old named Stoney. He's a junior in high school. And I have a 9-year-old named Cisco, and he's in 3rd grade. And he's just, all 3 of them, the love of my life.
Well, so tell us a little bit about your show. You're not only the lead in the show, but you're also the executive producer. So where did Debbie Dunning's Dude Ranch Roundup passion come from? Where did that mission come from?
It happened about a year ago in June. Patrick Gotch, the owner of RFD TV, and I were golfing. And he said, I think that you're fantastic and you should come up with a show. Well, you hear this time and time, people say things. And he was leaving, and he said to me, hey, I'm on my way out, but I just want you to know I'm from Omaha, and we keep our word. So come up with something. So I came out to the American in February of this year and kind of cruised around. I was just falling in love with everything. And we got to the airport, and he's like, have you thought of something yet? I go, I really haven't. I mean, I think my dream job would be to travel across the U.S. and explore every different dude ranch and the experience and bring it to your living room. And he's just like, oh, my God, that's it. So I didn't know what I was doing. And I decided to go back to one of these dude ranches, which is called White Stallion, and talk to Russell True. And he was the president of Dude Ranchers Association. He's like, I'll help you any way you can. This is fantastic. There's not a show like it. And come on out and spend a couple days, and I'll tell you what we do. And then the format of my show happens like that. I get to a dude ranch. I meet up with the owners, the wranglers, and we just highlight everything you can do at a dude ranch. And sometimes you're on a hot air balloon. Sometimes you're golfing. Sometimes you're skeet shooting, fly fishing. I mean, it's not just riding horses. And people are watching the show, and they're enjoying it. Thank you for that. But I'm really enjoying it, too. And I've been blessed with bringing all 3 of my children on the show. So I'm incorporating my time with them, too, because, I love my kids, and it's a very family-oriented thing to take your kids to a dude ranch.
Lifestyle. It's definitely a lifestyle, and it's amazing to have your kids. That's why I'm doing now what I'm doing, is because it's about the roots and bringing them all up and letting them have the opportunity to explore and have a part of this lifestyle. So I got to see your first show, and it was really awesome. I think you were in Montana.
Thank you. Well,
You were fishing, fly fishing.
oh
with
yeah,
your
yes,
son.
that's
Okay.
when we were.
That's the episode. It may not have been your first one, but I did see that episode.
Yeah, the first one was actually, we gave that to Russell True because that's where my passion for dude ranching kind of came from. So we gave him the pilot.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I know that we have so much to share with all of our guests and to share with you. And we're going to take one quick commercial break, and we're going to pause. And when we come back, I'm going to talk with Jenna. She is such a busy girl, and I can't wait to visit with her. And we'll talk about that. Jenna, I know you're a service member, and we salute you for that, and we thank you for that. And then we're going to also talk with Roscoe a little bit, and we're going to get a little update on what's happening behind the scenes at the WNFR. Right back. And, of course, Corb, you're down there. We're not going to forget about you, and we're going to be blessed with his music at the end of the hour.
He's going to be bringing his guitar up.
Yeah, he's going to bring his guitar up and sing a song or two for us.
We've been visiting with Debbie Dunning from Debbie Dunning's Dude Ranch Roundup from RFD TV, their new program. And we're going to come back and visit with Debbie some more. But that lovely young lady sitting right next to her is
Jenna Smeenk.
Yeah, and Jenna's been a service member, served in Iraq and Afghanistan, among many other things. Thank you. Thank you, Jenna.
Thank you for having me. Such a pleasure and an honor to be here.
Well, and it's funny because we live in such a technologically advanced age, and social media is so prevalent. And I started following Jenna. Gosh, my journey following Jenna has been a little bit different because she was getting ready to compete for a fitness competition, and so I started following you about that time, and really started seeing who you were, and all your accomplishments. And I was just thoroughly impressed by the young lady that you are. So share with our listeners and our audience a little bit about you're a barrel racer, you're a business owner. You got a little bit of everything going on.
You bet. I like to stay busy. I definitely love the horse industry and the rodeo industry, so everything that I do relates to rodeo, and in the business aspect of that is to keep me on the road. That's why I started my company, which is Knotty Halters, and I'm lucky to have a booth out here with Whip and Wild Rags, which I'm sporting today, so we're sharing a booth over at the Sands. But I definitely keep busy between rodeo, between my horses, and all the other extracurricular activities that I sometimes get into. For example, that fitness competition, which the general theme of my Instagram or my social media is to just share my story, share exactly where I am. By no means am I, claiming to know everything or be the best or be even where I want to be yet, but I think that sharing my struggles and exactly where I am has been, what's been able to help others relate to me and kind of want to follow that journey just to kind of get ahead for themselves too.
Absolutely, and you're inspirational, Jenna. You really are, and you've done a little bit of everything. But I mean, you chose to serve your country, and now you have your own business. Former Miss Rodeo Florida, so you competed for the Miss Rodeo America title, and that alone is that's an honor to be in that group of women. But I had a question for you, and this goes back to your barrel racing. You have a very special relationship with another barrel racer. And I want you to tell us a little bit about who that gal is and how the two of you go down the rodeo trail together.
Sure. So I assume you're talking about Kimmy Wall, who is a qualifier out here for the second year in a row. She's been a huge mentor and inspiration to me because she's trained her own horses, and I've really connected with her story and just her as a person. If you ever have the chance to meet her, she's just so bright and bubbly and honest and really willing to help girls who have been where she has been. So there's definitely some struggles once you do get on the road. Even when you've filled your permit and you're kind of getting to go, there's a whole other set of issues that you've got to deal with, and just getting to the NFR has been a huge dream of mine, so I've always tried to keep in proximity with people who have either achieved what I want to achieve or are in hot pursuit. And so that's where Kimmy and I really bonded, and we got to travel around for a little bit, a couple summers ago, and I've just always been such a huge fan of her. I'm wishing her the best of luck this year.
Well, and Jenna, I know that you've had quite a journey yourself. I know that I read that you had joined the National Guard because you were looking to pay for school, and you're originally from South Dakota. You grew up on a 10,000-acre ranch, so you ventured out, you went into the National Guard, you served your country, you came back, and you were craving your roots. So tell us a little bit about what made you make that jump into Miss Rodeo America pageant.
Sure. So like you said, I grew up in South Dakota on a buffalo ranch, and as soon as I graduated, I wanted to see the world, and I also wanted to go to college but not have a ton of student debt. So I made the decision after my older sister had joined to get into the Air National Guard, and I think I spent 2 semesters on campus, and then I started getting deployed, and that led me to Florida, where I was stationed for about 3 years. And I loved Florida, but I definitely missed rodeo and missed all the things I grew up with. So I decided to run for Miss Rodeo Florida to kind of tip my toe back into the Western world. And then I got the bug. I totally got the itch, and I'm like, I love Florida, I love the military, but this chapter is coming to a close, so I kind of rearranged my whole entire life. I got out of the military, moved to Oklahoma and later Texas, bought a racehorse off the track, started getting mentors, and just started really lining myself up with this goal that means so much to me, that's kind of been, born into me from a young age, but I just kind of forgot there for a little bit, kind of had to go do some growing, do some learning, and then reposition myself for success.
Wonderful. And I know that something I want to bring up with both of you and Roscoe, and I know all of you have experienced it, but you both are competitors. You barrel race. Roscoe, you're a bull rider. Share with our listeners and our audience, if you would, a little bit about where you come from. You're from Idaho, and you're a collegiate athlete. You're a high school athlete, if I'm correct, more high school than college. But share with our audience, your jump from high school into the PRCA.
Yeah, I'm from New Plymouth, Idaho, and I started riding bulls when I was a freshman in high school, and just, started out
Go ahead and talk
rough.
into the mic there, sir. Lift it up a little bit.
Closer?
Oh, there you
Gotcha.
okay.
We can hear you now.
All right. I started riding bulls when I was a freshman in high school, and, I had growth spurts, so I wasn't riding very good, and then went to sophomore, junior, and then my senior year I kind of went into the pro rodeos, went to college for a little bit, and kind of wasn't for me, so I just continued going to pro rodeos and the PBRs, and just kind of clicked for me, and I took off, and this is my second year here at the NFR, and loving every minute of it.
Well, Roscoe, we were there last night, and we saw the performance, and of course, tip of our hat, our American hat, to all of you. And it was a great performance last night, and I know that, the bull that you had drawn, you didn't, come out and cover him the way you wanted to, but we were just talking earlier, I mean, that was only the second performance, so I mean, there are 8 more to go, and a lot can happen. How much money is up in the bull riding if you, mark the highest and win first? What's that first place check pay in the go-round?
The first place check in the go-around pay about $26,000, and then...
He knows where second place pays because he ended up second on the first round.
Yeah.
I saw how much that check was. I wouldn't mind taking that for 8 seconds.
Yeah,
No, Becky,
no, it's pretty awesome to come here and get the opportunity to ride for this kind of money. So, but yeah, we got 8 more rounds. I can still ride 9 out of 10, make it a good year.
What's the average pay?
Average pays, I think, $67,000. Yeah.
Well, and let's talk about those boots you're wearing right there. So I know that I got to watch you ride in the first round, and we were talking before the show, and I know you said that you stepped off wrong, and I think it got your ankle. So tell us how athletes like yourselves, how you overcome that and what you're doing to persevere through it.
Yeah, after I got off my bull in the first round, my hand stuck in my rope a little longer than I wanted it to, and it just kind of yard darted me into the ground, and sprained my ankle, which, it shouldn't be this bad, but it's not very pretty, and sure as heck doesn't feel very good, but we got a great sports medicine team there at Thomas and Mack, and they tape it up for me, make it feel good, and put it in my boot best I can and go on with it.
Just cowboy up.
Yeah, try not to think about it.
Well, and a lot of times you guys have those obstacles that you have to overcome in the heat of the competition. Jenna, what is maybe some of the obstacles you've had to face with your barrel horse riding down the road?
I think the biggest obstacle for me is just the uncertainty and not knowing exactly what's coming next, more so than the physical dangers. Hopefully every time I go into the arena, I stay on my horse, so we're not quite facing the same things, but there's always that uncertainty, and I know that there's ups and downs in competition, so just staying strong mentally and focused on the overall goal, even though along the way you're going to be, highs and lows, ups and downs, doing well and not so well at times, but just staying strong mentally.
Yep.
And that makes total sense. I mean, no matter what you're doing, I mean, I'm sure, Debbie, you can relate to that, in your television work, in your show. Corb, when you're on stage performing, we're going to visit with Corb a little bit more,
Yes. We're just kind of going down the line.
Yeah,
well,
growing up in Alberta, Canada, Corb's got a lot of stories, too.
Brr.
Well, and I know musicians have it tough because you're making your way. You may not be getting on a bull or riding a horse, but you got the guitar and you're making a name for yourself, and I'm sure that's got to be quite a undertaking.
Yeah, it's a different type of fear.
Well, and Corb, again, it's getting back to our roots, the way we were raised. Growing up in Canada, you come from a ranching family. 3 generations, I believe I read about?
Yes.
Well, my great-grandpa's moved up from Utah and Nevada, turn of the century. And our family place that we have now is, for people that don't know, it goes Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, Alberta's just north of there. So Glacier Park in Montana is about 6 miles from our place, just over the border.
Oh, wow. You're up
It's real pretty.
You're up in our neck of the woods, over in northern Montana. Montana is so beautiful. Canada is just over the border, and so sometimes you're not sure if you're from the U.S. or if you're from Canada because it's so close.
It's funny. It's funny because I sometimes feel like Western Canadians have more culturally in common with Western Americans than we do with Eastern Canadians. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I think the border should go north-south instead of east-west.
Well, and also, when you talk about the Western world and the cowboy way of life, Canada and U.S., we're just side by side in everything that we do. So really, there is no difference between one or the other. So.
Yeah, it's colder.
Well, I appreciate so far where you guys are at.
Debbie, we were talking earlier before the program started. And it was funny. We were just kind of on the same page. I said, well, where are you going to visit next? What dude ranch? And I mentioned Wickenburg, Arizona, and Los Caballeros.
Los Caballeros is next on our agenda. I'll be here until the 16th, and then we're going to fly over and start filming. In fact, I'm bringing a really good golf buddy of mine, Jim McMahon, who's also was the quarterback, but he's a really good buddy of mine, and so he's going to come out and star on the show, and I think we're going to do hot air balloon and some ATV, things that you haven't seen on any of the other dude ranches, and golfing, of course.
Oh, the golfing in Wickenburg. Having lived in Wickenburg, I can assure you that you all are going to enjoy it very much. There's some beautiful golf courses, maybe a trip up to Vulture Mine.
Yep.
A lot to keep you busy there.
Yeah, well, we shoot a 7-day show in 3 days, so we have a very rapid pace. So we're not going to shoot 18 holes, but we're going to show the courses and the hot air balloon, which that we can't make fast.
Well,
we can't whip that together.
How long does it take to do one episode when you're out there on the ranch?
We travel 2 days, but like a half-day travel and a half-day back, and then 3 full days of travel. of shooting.
Okay. And how many do you have in your crew?
Just 4 of us.
Oh, wow.
2 cameramen, makeup artist, and me. Makeup artist is really important to me.
Yeah, us girls, we'd like to have our
I love
mascara and our lipstick and lip gloss.
And we are. And sure, when you're in Wickenburg, make sure that you take your crew and Jim and go eat at one of the finest Mexican restaurants in the world there. And that's Anita's Cocina. You got to have Mexican food from Anita's if you're in Wickenburg, Arizona.
Okay, I definitely will because we love Mexican food. I have a ranch in Mexico that I don't have horses on it, but I grow palm trees and stuff. So we have all that sort of things too, but that food is just like no other.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to do it.
Chips and salsa. I'll just stick with that.
Yeah. Big margarita.
Yes, exactly. Jenna, tell us a little bit about, you have started Knotty Halters, and I know this has been quite an undertaking, and I think you work that business. Your mom is a big advocate and part of everything that you do. So share with our audience a little bit about Knotty Halters.
You bet. And everything that I do, whether it's rodeo or, business, family is a huge part of it to me. I'm very close with my brother and my sister, as well as my parents. But I started the company Knotty Halters as just a way to make a little extra money on the side going up and down the road. And then that led to all of these great business mentors. And then down the rabbit hole I go. I love entrepreneurship, not only in the Knotty Halter world, but also doing online coaching and online e-courses and just reaching fans in new ways, especially in this industry where it's not as prevalent to have a coach or a team kind of out there on your own, but I think it's really fun to have that aspect. I was a basketball player in high school, and I really missed it. I missed somebody looking at my runs, telling me what I should do to adjust, and having that camaraderie, so I've tried to kind of take that into the rodeo sport and not only do that for some of my followers, but always being a student myself.
Well, and you mentioned the word camaraderie, and I know going down the road, most competitors have a group of folks that they travel with, a group of friends. In Roscoe, we know that you have quite a core group of people that you travel with down in Idaho, and you guys ride together, practice together. Tell us a little bit about your core group that you travel with.
I got a couple guys that we travel with from Idaho, and Garrett Smith, he's here at the finals too. He come in second. We travel a little bit together, but I'd say my main traveling partner is Brady Portnier. He grew up in Caldwell. He's a year older than me, and I think we've known each other since I was born. So we're pretty close. We've stuck together from elementary school rodeos to high school rodeos to now pro rodeos. So, and then I got another traveling partner named Chase Robbins. Grew up with him too.
Just got engaged.
Yep.
Yeah. Congratulations, Chase, if you're watching.
Yeah. And we go down the road every weekend, hit another one, and it's just us three, and every now and again we have other guys jump in, but we're...
Roscoe, I have a question for you, because I know, you talk to any, younger athlete coming up in professional rodeo, they talk about, not only important to, to be able to ride and cover that bull and mark well, but entering, that's a whole nother art. Is there one of you on your team that is particularly responsible for putting your runs together?
Yeah, so I started that deal for our group, and I just recently handed it off to Brady because I got tired of doing it, but for me it wasn't too hard to pick up. I could see the run happening on paper, so if we need to make a run from here to Texas, we'll hit rodeos all the way down, and if you don't get your days that you want, you can trade or I guess turn out if it's last chance. But yeah, I mean it's difficult, but you just got to do some reading and get on the phone and talk to people.
Full-time job.
It is, and I
Yep.
know that we have a mutual friend at the Columbia River Circuit, Stacy Downton, and I know that her and her team of timers work really hard to come up with a great program to help new cowboys and cowgirls on their entering in their. I don't know if you're familiar with that or not.
I haven't heard anything about it.
Okay, you'll have to ask her about it because
Yeah.
it really helps newbies. So, do you mentor anyone that's coming into the circuit or the?
I have kids ask me for help, and I'll help them, but it's over social media and stuff like
Gotcha.
that, and what they need to do for their bull riding careers and whatnot. And my dad always told me you gotta win in the amateurs if you want to go to the pros. So I kind of try to teach the same thing, but yeah, if anybody had a problem with entering or needed some help, I would definitely help them.
That's awesome. Well, and just as much as you have to figure out where you're going down the road, Corb, you've had to figure out where you're going to play your music and where you're going to go to expose your way of life and the passion of music that you have. And you've had some great success. You have 9 studio albums under your belt. You have several nominations. Tell us a little bit about that and what that means to you as you've worked to build your career.
Well, I write all of my own songs, and it's important to me to. Not every song I write is about Western heritage, but the bulk of it is. And it's funny because there's not a lot of people doing it anymore. It makes me sad. I'm a Marty Robbins fan and an Ian Tyson fan all the way along, and there's very few people that are still writing about that kind of thing. And I try to include that in a lot of my stuff. Sometimes it's not a specific theme of the song, but often the backgrounds are against the West.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think being a singer-songwriter and writing your own songs, gives you an edge naturally to be able to perform those songs and have the heart and feeling behind the words and the music.
Yeah, that's one of the most important things to me is the communication of the ideas, and it's really extra. I don't know what it would be like to only play other people's music, but one of the most gratifying things for me is when you can see during the show that people are relating to what you're singing, and especially when I play a lot in the West, but I play in Europe and Australia and in the East, and it's extra neat to see people who aren't from a Western background become curious about it, and then it feels good to come home too. But it's interesting to see people react to it because people who aren't from the West have this kind of glamorized vision from Hollywood of what it's like, and they actually want to talk to you and ask you questions, and some of the questions are dumb, but that's okay.
Well, they're curious. They're curious about the American cowboy, and when you wear a hat, it's a symbol throughout the world, really, about who we are and what we represent.
Yeah, I was going to say, people do have this stigmatism of like, okay, this is how people really are, and that's how people are from Hollywood. Well, obviously that's who you are because you're from Hollywood, but I was just going to say, why don't you come on my show and sing one of your songs? As long as you can ride a horse.
Sure, let's do it.
I'd love to have you on there.
Okay, deal.
Okay, deal. He said it.
Fill us in when it's going to be on so we can all watch.
Yeah.
Well, and your latest album, correct me if I'm wrong, is it Things That Can't Be Undone?
Yeah.
Okay. And I believe you had Rolling Stone even say that you were one of the 10 new country artists of the year that you need to know. What does that mean to you to hear that being said about you?
It doesn't hurt. But yeah, I don't know. I take that stuff with a grain of salt. I've never had a lot of support from the music business. I sort of have I've used most of my career has been built in a sort of grassroots, organic, independent sort of way. And I have brushes with the music biz, and I'll take the help when I can get it. But I've kind of built a situation where I have a fairly loyal audience that doesn't care if I'm on the radio or not. I think my impression is they've come to trust what I'm going to write for them and sing for them. And so whether I'm on TV or if I get a Rolling Stone review or not, that always helps to grow the audience. But the people who have already decided that they like my stuff tend to be pretty loyal about it. So I try to operate kind of outside the music business as much as I can.
Well, and one thing that I wanted to ask is, do you see a difference in when you started your career? And you'll have to tell me exactly how many years ago if you'd like, but just with the social media and how much that's afforded you the opportunity to be exposed to those that maybe don't hear your music in the mainstream.
Yeah, it's kind of the Wild West now because the old model of putting out a record every 2 years and having a label support it, it's kind of, there's still some of that at the really high levels, but these days it's really chaotic and everybody sort of has their own approach to it. But you're right, there are a lot of new tools you can use for exposure, and it's been really, for people like me, it's fantastic because it's much easier to reach people who are into your particular subgenre
Right.
or whatever.
We've had some great guests that we've been visiting with, Debbie Dunning, Jenna Smeenk, and Roscoe Jarboe, as well as Corb Lund. And Corb, before we went to the break, was sharing a little bit about his music career, and we're going to turn it over to him and let him bless you with some of his wonderful music. So enjoy.
Okay, this is a new song I wrote with my friend named Jada. And it's about this thing that happens, not all the time, but often, not all the time, but often, when a lady spends a lot of the man's money on horses. It's an agricultural tragedy. It was like this. Folks think you're rich when they see you have horses. Well, that might be true if my income sources weren't eating up every month on the boardage for all of our four-legged friends. My accountant says that my funds are depleted, but I keep my wealth right where I can see it, in pastures and barns and in show arenas, and because of the money she spends. Well, horse poor, I sell one, she buys two more, the luxuries we could afford. If we was rich and not horse poor. It's a duet, so this is the ladies' part, because she's not here, I'm going to sing for you. This is the ladies' part. Well, he must have forgot the show where he met me. He said the way I sat my saddle was sexy. Said a cowgirl like me was worth every penny. Better start making sense now, my dear. You can build me a barn and it better be heated, with a whole lot of stalls and a hire Jesus to clean it. Buy me a stud and smile when you feed it, because we're just getting started round here. Well, horse poor, I sell one, she buys three more. The luxuries we could afford, if we was rich and not horse poor. By the power invested in me by the ponies, you should be saddled in this matrimony. I now pronounce you man, wife, and horses. You may kiss all your money goodbye. Horse poor, I sell one, she buys four more. The luxuries we could afford, if we was rich and not horse poor. Hey!
Wow. That was excellent.
Sometimes true.
Most times.
This is a quick one. This is one that I wrote a number of years ago. Ian Tyson recorded this with me. The rodeo's over, the folks are gone home, and the cowboys are all down the road. The boys, it was a good one. We kicked a hole in the sky, and even the rank ones got road. It was as wild as they come, and it was all mighty western, and none of us thought it would end. The finish it did, with a bang and a whisper, and now I must leave you, my friend. We may do it again in some future season, but somehow it won't be the same, 'cause our draws will be different and our injuries heal, and it's likely the weather will change. So take from the lessons and be glad for the memories of the days that we rode in the sun. 'Cause after today, there ain't no man can claim that we didn't have us a good run. We'll burn all the blankets and dry all the tears, 'cause we can always go further out west. And I'll meet you out there in the vastness somewhere, I swear it. First I must rest. The rodeo's over, the folks are gone home, and the cowboys are all down the road.
Wow, thank you so much, Corb. That was absolutely beautiful. Quick question, Corb. Where can our viewers and listeners find your music?
I'm pretty easy to find on the internet, Spotify and iTunes and all that. My name is, it's a strange name, it's Corb Lund, so it's Charlie, Oscar, Romeo, Bravo, Lima, Uniform, November, Delta, because people get it wrong all the time.
Corb.
That's so easy to remember right there.
Right, right. But you know, we all have sometimes trouble pronouncing the easiest of names.
That's true.
Cody Johnson is much easier.
That's true.
Well, we thank you so much for sharing your music with us. Roscoe, I have a question for you. So, how are you feeling going into round 3? Are you ready for tonight? And you gonna give it all you got?
Oh yeah, tonight's the rank pin, as the bull riders would call it, and you know, things happen for a reason. So maybe I'm supposed to have a bum ankle going into this, and if it's that, then we're just going to tape it up a little tighter and go on with it.
And when you talk about the rank pin, I mean, they have a TV pin, eliminator pin, and tonight is the rank pin. And what time do they do the draw? How soon before the perk will you find out what bull you have?
They actually do the draw, so like tomorrow's draw will be out tonight.
Perfect, so you know ahead of time.
Yep.
Perfect,
Yeah.
well, best of luck. We'll be rooting for you.
Yes.
Thank you.
And
Appreciate it.
if anyone wants to follow Roscoe, he does have an official Facebook page under Roscoe Jarboe, so be sure to look him up and support him. We need to support our athletes and everything that they're doing, but to just, really support them and uplift them and keep the rodeo going and empowered. So thank you so much, Roscoe, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Jenna, let's talk about you for a little bit. Tell me how our listeners and our audience can find you on Facebook, Instagram, and all your business.
Sure. So all of my social media is just my name, Jenna Smeenk, on everything.
There you go, everything. And be sure to check out her Knotty halters. If you have a horse, she's got some amazingly beautiful halters, breast collars that you're doing?
I do have some tacks, so head stalls and breast collars and sets, and kind of broadening my spectrum of what I'm selling, but it's all for sale.
And keep a watch for her, because she is also up and coming in your modeling. You're doing a lot of modeling. I've seen coming across the internet as well. So congratulations on everything that you're doing.
Absolutely. Enjoyed visiting with you. Debbie, any final words?
I appreciate any good feedback that you could write in to my show. If anybody has suggestions or dude ranches that you think might have affected you or left an imprint, I'd love to go see them. It was kind of hard at first when nobody really knew anything about my show, kind of getting my foot in the door. It's a lot easier now that the show's actually up and running, but if you haven't seen it, it's on Wednesdays at 9 Eastern Time and Sundays it repeats at 7. Look for it, because it's really fun and we have a good time.
Well, thank you so much, Debbie. I know Becky and I enjoyed watching the show on RFD TV, Debbie Dunning's Dude Ranch Roundup. We appreciate you being here today. Jenna, Roscoe, Corb, thank you very, very much.
You guys are great. It's like you're professionals or something.
Thank you for having us. What a good time. Thank you for your service.
Yes, and I know that we are we're down to just the last few minutes before we go, but I did want to make sure that we say thank you to Jenna as serving our country. We are in some crazy times right now, and I think it's really important that we honor our military, we honor our police officers, we honor our first responders. And I really would ask, actually, for those of you that are watching, pray for California right now and the fires and everything that's going on down there. It's just heartbreaking, and so we need to really empower them and lift them up. And we were going to be having some great shows coming up the rest of the week. Tomorrow we'll be honoring a ministry that has served our rodeo community for 25 plus years, so be sure you tune in tomorrow. We have some country music artists coming on tomorrow, and we'll be posting that out on our Facebook page, so keep a lookout for that. And then Monday we are going to be doing Military Monday, and that's where we are going to be bringing up some special guests to honor everything that they do for our country. And we've got a great guest lineup, so you can find us on Facebook under She's Gone Country, and Instagram you will find us under CB Cowgirls. I also just want to take a quick moment. If you can see, my aunt was honored last night or yesterday at the World of Rodeo and Reunion and Gathering as one of the 50 women who have made a contribution of great depth in the Western world and rodeo. So congratulations to you, Aunt Vicki. I didn't get a lot of time to visit with her yesterday because she was pretty busy, but she has brought so much to the Western world. So we are excited to see you next week. And Aunt Vicki, I'm going to let you close it out.
Well, thank you so much. Please join us tomorrow. God bless you, and we will see you then. Bye-bye.